the most besieged castle in the UK, hosting the oldest British crown jewels, and has a little bit of a haunted history. Where am I today? If you haven't guessed already, Edinburgh Castle. Stick along watching and we will show you what this place is like, what you can see here, and hopefully give you a few tips and tricks and a bit of a history lesson along the way. Anyway, let's go and explore the secrets of Edinburgh Castle. So the castle is one of Scotland's oldest fortified sites, with an ancient history dating way back to 900 BC, they reckon. Wow.
Oh no, there's another one there.
So as well as just the general castle and history within itself, you've actually got several museums. So, museum for the Royal Regiment of Scotland, you've got the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards, Cavalier and Greys Regimental Museum. So there is several museums about, as well as just having the castle views and all of the history that comes along with it. This is where the prisoners were kept in the castle in 1780-ish. If you look at them now though, I reckon this would be a good Airbnb. People would pay to stop in something like this now, with those hammocks. What I would say about this place is, if you do have a particular interest and you want to understand a lot more, say for example the Royal Scots, the Royal Regiment, there's a whole museum dedicated to it. If you are interested in the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards, there's a whole museum dedicated to it. It goes into detail, it explains their role in all sorts of the wars, it dates all the history back to the 16th century. So I'm not going to do it on this video because you could actually do separate videos on each individual museum, the prisoner one, the regiments. But it is pretty fascinating. They've got this within the castle. So you could actually spend hours here if you have a complete particular interest in one of those certain areas. Every day at 1 PM there is a cannon shot from this castle. This started in 1861 and it was a time signal for the sailors. Now this tradition is still kept up today. I think it's obviously more of a tourist and traditional thing that they do. I don't think it actually serves a purpose other than that. But it's fascinating they're still doing this in modern day 2025. Now fortunately, our tickets we got were half an hour before this thing fires off, so we're going to get in the queue and see if we can see it fire off in 7 minutes time. We'll try and capture it on video, but it's a daily shot that they do, and obviously look, it draws all the crowds. That scared me. What's a good castle without a good whiskey? Yes. We're in the castle and there is whiskey tasting opportunities inside the castle. what could go wrong? A live cannon, whiskey, on a steep castle.
1% alcohol content compared to 40% whiskey.
Ah, so 17%.
Half the strength.
Let's go.
Go on then.
Just take a wee sip, you don't have to.
Salute to Queen Mary of Scots, I suppose.
That's it.
That's alright, that is.
Okay.
That's actually
I
alright.
think everyone, the whiskey is such an evocative and strong spirit.
It's like a better version of Baileys, sweet. Well, I can't turn this into a whiskey tasting video, but there is a whiskey shop here. So this is the Great Hall, originally built for James IV, of course, another royal. Now I'm not going to do too much of a deep dive into this, but I'm just showing you the room. There's a lot to explore in here, loads of weaponry, body armour, facts and information. One thing I would say about this place, apart from it being absolutely fantastic and grand, when Oliver Cromwell came, he used this place for soldiers, so there was up to 200 of them lived in here. I don't think the smell would have been pleasant, let's face it, but it is pretty magnificent. For obvious reasons you can't record inside the Scottish National War Memorial, but it's an absolutely stunning memorial hall, stained glass, it's got flags, it's got loads of details about all the various battles in the First World War. There's also a book for each battle with all the names of all the people who died in that war, and if there was a name you're looking for, you can actually ask one of the members of staff and they will help you find that name in a book. It's quite a harrowing place. I'm glad there's no filming or anything like that, it's quite silent. It really is a great memorial. Definitely worth checking out here. Sadly we can't film the British crown jewels. I'm going to put the camera away now actually. Charles I had a son, Charles II, also known as the most inbred king to have ever lived. Doesn't say that there. Succeeded by his brother, goes all the way down. James. There he is. Succeeded by Mary II. Down to Anne. Oh, and here we go. Queen Mary of Scots. The most infamous one of this neck of the woods. Then she had a son in that room there. There he is, little old James Francis Edward Stuart. Then Charles had it. That's where James was born. Thank you. Charles II, probably one of the wildest kings ever. He brought back partying, theatres, and he had quite a eventful and fruitful life with relationships. I would highly recommend watching videos about Charles II. He's probably one of the most interesting kings. Also, they reckon the most inbred king as well. I'd watch a video on that also. So you can't record inside to show the crown jewels, which is probably for obvious reasons. So the crown jewels, they are the oldest British jewels. They're quite fascinating as well. So during the siege with Cromwell, they were buried, obviously, because if he would have got a hold of them, he would have destroyed them. And it was only a century later that they were refound. They buried them. And then again, similar, during the Second World War, they were hidden, again for obvious reasons, so they weren't captured, taken. Fascinating. They were absolutely brilliant to see, by the way. Crazy. I find it crazy because they are, 15th century, they're sort of magnificent to look at. Value of them, well, there is literally no value. I think the actual price for the materials is in the hundreds of millions, but they're obviously invaluable. There's no price you can actually put on them. This place has so much to offer and see, so you may miss this if you just walk past and not keep your eye out, but there is actually a dog cemetery just here. This small garden is a cemetery for officers' dogs and regimental mascots ever since 1845. St Margaret's Chapel, the oldest building in the Edinburgh Castle. It was built in 1130 and it was dedicated to Queen Margaret, who lived here in the thousands. Wow. So this is David's Tower. David's Tower. This was where the crown jewels were buried for 4 years during the Second World War. So it was 1941, and obviously it was looming that Britain was about to be invaded. So they made a decision to bury the crown jewels down David's Tower, and only 4 people knew the location of it. Obviously, it didn't get invaded in 1945, they brought it back out. So in this room, during 1689, there was 100 soldiers crammed into here. I'm trying to show you the height of it and width of it. Again, during another siege, they all hid away in here, and quite a few of them obviously died, disease, weather conditions. In this room, there was actually skeletons found years later, 15 of them, in this exact room. Now that does sort of coincide with the ghost stories and hauntedness, because it's meant to be one of the most haunted places in the UK, but they all say that, don't they? So of course, a castle that's had 26 siege attempts, imprisonments and executions, why wouldn't ghosts and hauntedness follow on from that? Now there is countless of ghost stories, and there's ghost tours, and there's a lot of stuff you can read online about this, but the most famous sighting that's a regular occurrence is literally here. So it's called the Longshanks, which is down here. Now the ghost that you're going to see down here, if you're lucky enough, is a headless drummer. So it's a headless drummer boy, and he used to play the drums during funerals apparently. If you walk down there, apparently you may see him, or if not see him, you'll hear the echoes of his drums, and that's a tale as old as 400 years. But there is countless ghosts and haunted stories around this place. Just drop a quick Google and you will find it all. I don't want to make this too much about haunted or ghosts, but that is one of the top 3 things that come up about this place, is the haunted and ghost stories. And obviously there's a lot of death associated to this place. If it isn't Mr. Longshanks again, Edward I, 1291. Why did he have to be part of it? We went to Wales and he built the Conwy Castle, and now in 1291 the ambitious king went to invade Scotland and conquer it for himself. This 6-foot tooth mammoth of a king, honestly, is a wild one. Okay, that's Edinburgh Castle done. What are my overall thoughts? So, I personally absolutely loved it there. There's a lot to see, there's a lot to do, but there's also a lot of information to take in. So, how much did the tickets cost? It was £21.50 online to buy, and it's £24 if you walk up. I would strongly recommend buying online. It gets extremely busy. Now, we're in the midweek at the minute, and it rained, but as the sun started to come out, the queues were getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we're not in some sort of peak season, we're technically in off-peak season. So definitely book online. If you want to see the cannon shooting, get there early. The queue starts to build up, I think around 12:10, people start waiting to get right in front of the line, but you can get a clear enough view standing at the back. So it's £21.50. The overall experience is fantastic. I am talking even the walk down to the castle. So obviously the castle is at the end of the Royal Mile, and along the way there is loads of history, culture, side alleys, there's various pubs, restaurants, gift shops, there's kilt wearing people, there's bagpipes playing. It's a really good experience just to walk to Royal Mile. Now obviously the castle is at the end of that Royal Mile, so that's why it's quite enjoyable. The castle itself, you can obviously get guided tours. You can pay a bit extra and have somebody guide you around on a tour. We didn't do that. We chose to go on our own. I personally prefer that because there's a lot of information to take in, and it can be quite disengaging if there's something you're not really that interested in. So obviously if you go on your own, you can pinpoint the areas you want to go to, and as long as you've got a bit of an internet connection, you can just pop it into Google and find a little bit more about what you want to know or dive deeper into it. So we were there for over 2 hours, and truthfully we could have spent much longer there. There's facilities, there's a cafe there, obviously you saw the whiskey tasting, there's shops. This is all inside the castle, so you could actually spend a lot more time inside of the place, not just to sit and have a coffee, but I'm actually talking about getting into the detail of everything. So this is a point that I want to bring up really. If you are particularly interested in certain areas, whether it's the royal history, whether it's Queen Mary of Scots, whether it's the crown jewels, whether it's the army regiments, just think of a bit of a plan that what you want to see. And if you want to dig into the detail, then you can sort of pinpoint where to go and what to explore. It's quite overwhelming with information, and like I say, how busy it is, you're sort of scuttling along, but people taking pictures, they're walking past you, so to sort of stand there and take it all in, it can be quite overwhelming. So I would go with a little bit more of a plan, and if you want to find out about, like I say, the regiment, the prisoners, then you can go to there with a bit of a plan in hand, what you want to look for, and dive into it. Overall, as an experience, is it worth it? Absolutely. That's my personal opinion. I absolutely loved it. I loved the history in there. It's got the right level of history. It's got the right information. They make it quite engaging. There's like Navy, Army people walking around. Obviously, you got the traditional cannon shoot. The whiskey tasting was a bit of fun. And there is a couple of interactive rooms, like the battle room from the 12th century with Edward I. And I just thought it was absolutely fascinating seeing the crown jewels, the birthplace of James, and the memorial, the Great Hall. It's absolutely brilliant and fascinating history. If you are into your history, it's definitely worth a visit. If you're just a casual historian and just like to tourist trap, still go and visit. You get fantastic views of the new town below. And it's just a cool place to go to be honest with you. The whole experience is fantastic. That's all positive and good. Like I say, the only downsides I'm going to say on this one is it gets extremely busy. And if you didn't notice, I was wearing a raincoat because the weather was about as consistent as Charles II's love life. It was raining, it was 16 degrees, raining, windy, cold, sunny. So we're in the north of Scotland on top of a hill. Just bear that in mind, that the weather can change quite quickly. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed watching the video. I hope it's given you a bit of an insight of what Edinburgh Castle is like. If you've enjoyed it, please leave a like or a comment and subscribe. You know, we do really appreciate it and we love reading the comments. If you've got any suggestions on where to go, what to experience, again, leave it down in the comments and we will go do it for you. Anyway, like true royal fashion, I'm going to go out, have some wine and mead and a feast. But it's probably not going to be as evil and weird as what they were doing back 300 years ago. Anyway, we'll catch you at the next one.